Welcome to this week's lecture, which is basically the second part of the perfect competition model. And in the second part, we will see the producer theory, which is also sometimes mentioned as the theory of the firm. What we basically do is we will see the behavior of the agents in a typical market for a good, who create the supply, and mainly, I mean, the agents that create supply, although not necessarily completely so, are the producers, the people actually, the agents that actually produce the goods and services. And well, most of the producers in today's world are companies in one form or the other. Just like in case of the consumer theory, the main aim here is to create a model which represents overall, which kind of sets certain rules or certain characteristics that are true for all producers. Although the producer theory is aiming to do that, but just in case of the consumer theory, there are certain parts of the theory that are discussed heavily, and in case of producer theory, those discussions go even deeper actually, and they don't only create some side studies, but also create certain different schools which looks to economy from a completely different angles angle. Basically, the disagreements, to some extent, disagreements on the producer theory are key between some major schools, at least in terms of their influences, major schools in economics. Anyway, let's continue. The first video is actually a video on industry. Maybe I should have Y here. Industry 4.0. Industry 4.0 is kind of a name for the industrial revolution, fourth industrial revolution, on which not everyone agrees that it exists actually, but it basically describes how automation may create actually factories that are almost humanless. Even if that goal, I mean, completely humanless factories are not achievable in a close time frame, and at least not for all sectors. And even if humans will be needed for the production for a while, still it gives you the industry 4.0 gives you some information on the potential effects of automation also, and potential benefits of automation. And industry 4.0 is pretty much actually connects the automation that exists different sides of the typical production, and it connects it together to give control completely to the machines. And we might also ask, even actually, to what extent this industry 4.0 can be also applicable, can be the major developments, major transformation of production created by industry 4.0. How much it can also apply to the agriculture and service sector. So, and beyond that, actually, both for industry 4.0 but also for IT sectors and internet in general, one main question is how is it changing the production process, and how is it affecting the models we are going to see in the following slides. And have this in your mind. I mean, after watching this video, keep the major aspects of the video in your mind, and just think about question how these developments might affect the major aspects of the model we are going to see. But anyway, let's go down. Well, the earliest production model, which was created by Adam Smith and developed by David Ricardo and Karl Marx, well, start with the assumption that values of the products are measured by labor, and it in the end actually also goes to the point that labor is the only input of the only active input of the production. You might have other inputs like machinery and, for example, the raw materials, but those are basically passive inputs. In the end, since the machines also needed to be produced by the workers, labor is a thing that actually takes certain certain inputs, and means of production are parts of those inputs, and they transform them by using certain inputs, and in other cases transforming certain inputs. I mean, if we are talking on a wood, we transform the wood, but if I'm talking on a wood saw, I'm using the wood saw, but the more I use, the more it degrades. So I'm also kind of, the wood saw also loses its value when I use it. So that value is also kind of transformed into the wood pieces that are produced. So in very strict sense, you might think in this way. Any product in the end is reducible to the workers. So basically, we should take workers or labor as the main factor, main active factor that actually transforms the initial resources we got from the nature into the things we want and need. And the models that are constructed are based by these three economists are based on this view. In Marx, this is most clear. Ricardo and Smith also developed models based on this assumption. I mean, labor is the ultimate factor humans use to add value to the goods and the inputs they use in the production of goods that are available to them. And well, this view was the dominant view actually. I mean, it's known in economics it's known as the Marxist model, but pretty much before Marx it was dominant model, and after and right at when Marx was presenting this model, an alternative model was created, and in this alternative model now there are two different type of inputs actually. I mean, this is an extreme case, but actually there are two different inputs that are mentioned, and one of the inputs is labor. Again, the other input is, however, I'm sorry, not input, but the factor of production. I mean, the active factors in production that are actually producing something. Labor is one factor. The other factor is the capital. Labor and capital are using the inputs to produce the outputs, and any value that is created during the production process are partially created by the workers, partially created by the capital that is used. Here, capital is usually used, and that's actually tricky because in Marx, capital has a completely different meaning. But even in the mainstream economics, the economics you are seeing in this course, capital might have some contradicting meanings. Sometimes it's used, for example, as money capital. I mean, financial capital. Here, capital is pretty much the machinery and infrastructure that is used for them in the production. The raw materials are not capital, labor is not capital also, and this machinery and infrastructure work along with the labor, add values, increase the value of the raw materials and the inputs of the production, and they create the outputs, and the value difference between outputs and inputs is by, as I said, labor and the capital. So certain aspects that are especially were well important for the basic uh, economic school that created this model, which is called marginals, by the way, as I have mentioned before. Short run and long run differences between them, uh, between the let's say uh, the cost structure and the choices that are in front of the um, uh, producers is one of the important factors. And here, pretty much actually, short run and long run is a this can be forever discussion even for the very experienced economists. I mean, how long is a short run? How long is long run? And can we define a time frame? 3 weeks, 4 weeks, 2 months, 2 years. What is short run? And any one of these can actually be short run. Any one of these can be long run. I mean, even 3 weeks can be long run. Well, what do I mean? I mean, how can 3 weeks be long run? I mean, what is our standard in that case? Well, our standard is pretty much defined by us setting a certain limit for the long run and short run. So basically, short run is a period when something is some variable or more than one variable, many variables, remain more or less constant. Long run, on the other hand, is the time period where, well, again, one of two, some variables might still be constant even in the defined long run, but some variables that were at least constant in the short run become variable. I mean, it's possible for them to vary. I mean, they can take different values. For example, in macroeconomics, this is done. Short run is sometimes defined as the time frame when prices are stable, and long run is the time frame when prices vary. But in that case, when you are talking on the 16th century, even 50 years might be short run, because I mean, in some cases, for the 50 years, all 50 years, the prices might remain stable. But when we are talking on Germany in 2000, for example, 2000 not 2000, 1920s, for example, the prices were changing sometimes. I mean, doubling in an hour. In that case, even an hour can be a long run. So pretty much you make a definition of the short run and long run, and after that the conditions decide what is short run and long run. I mean, however much time you'll need for that particular variable or those particular variables to vary uh, is defined as long run, and however time frame in which those variables are more or less constant is defined as short run. Anyway, the third problem is a scale problem, and that's one of the critical problems. Basically, because the problem itself is what happens, how will the what will be the advantages and disadvantages if a company increase the production level if it produces more. If the companies that are producing more are more advantageous, and all if that's always so, in that case that will lead to monopolizations, because once you have a big company, then small companies will be disadvantages. They won't be able to enter to the market. On the other hand, if large companies are disadvantages, then I mean the size of the companies will remain small, because small companies will be advantages in one way or the other. Pretty much, I mean, the advantages we talk here are cost advantages. I mean, whether small companies have lower costs or large companies have lower costs. So, increasing returns is the case when small company, by increasing size of your company, you can increase the production level even more. You double the size of the company, your machines, your workers, but your production increase more than double. Decreasing returns means you double everything, all machines, all workers in your factory, but you got more than double amount of production level increase. That's decreasing returns. Your returns are decreasing when you increase your scale, and constant returns is when you double your factors of production. Your production level also doubles. We will talk more on this in next part.